There's an enemy that's been working under the surface, pulling strings since some of Destiny 2's first seasons. We've encountered many of her forces and spies, but she may make an appearance soon given some recent lore. Renegades more likely, and maybe even Ash and Iron in a couple of weeks. Welcome Guardians, let's discuss these mysteries. So the Cabal are heavily involved with Renegades, it seems. Lore cards are beginning to hype them up and ramp up the story before we go to Mars in December. This made me wonder who would be at the head of this new Cabal faction. It could be some new leader, maybe it ties to the new Dredgen. But who related to the Cabal could be on top? And that answer could be the psions. The ones who were enslaved by the Cabal species all those years ago could have turned the tables, with them now in the position of this holy throne. The Psion Conclave and Psion leaders is who I'm interested in. Freeborn Atzat, Yurix, and so on. Renegades is on the way, but let's first take a look back at their storied history and how they've been pulling some strings behind the scenes. Here's their lore. Our story begins in a Cabal shipyard, where Caitl, the Guardian who died on a Glycon, and another Psion are here to steal the Glycon a time ago. They venture to the shipyard and try to take it. On board, they encounter Yurix near the bridge, who would kill them, but through this Psion bond grants them access. "We need this ship," Gilly whispers. He swings into my peripheral view. "If you don't do something, that Psion is going to have every Cabal in the sector on us." Quinzik surfaces from the hatch and kneels beside us. "This is Yurix, Ghost. She will not reveal us. She's Red Legion. Callus would see her executed. Psions fly many colors, but within the Cabal, we exist in Congress, moving toward our own future. She will recognize my contribution, as I hers," Quinzik says, stepping forward. Gilly watches Quinzik approach the other Psion. "If this sours, don't give it a chance." His words cinch around my lungs. Short breaths of weary anticipation escape. I sight my long gun and wait. Yurix stiffens as she becomes aware of Quinzik. She turns. They bow their heads together. The two emphasize and come to one understanding in silence. Whatever ambitions they have go further than this ship, this moment, this Cabal. I hadn't thought that way since I last wore the veneer of a Guardian. Sold a dream of an immortal city shielded by light, as if it could go on forever. Forever is just a hope folks don't give long enough to see crumble. Yurix looks to Gilly and me, to my rifle, unthreatened. I feel her request for temperance and a tranquil reassurance of their cause. For a moment I feel young. I stand. We warm the launch engines as Yurix slips away to join the throng and let us be. So there we see Caitl, his ghost, and a Psion Quiznik take the Glycon and escape. Yurix lets them have it. A time later, Yurix would emerge as a new leader of a new group of Psions, a Psion Conclave, or was high up on the leadership ranks. This conclave would break away from the known Red Legion tactics and forge their own path. During Season of Dawn, Psions Nerul, Azlek, and Tazarok were led by a Psion named Amtek. They were a part of the effort to use the sundial to make sure the Red Legion won the war, mess with time, make sure they came out on top. This was thwarted by the Guardians and most of those Psions destroyed. Amtek was later responsible for hurling the Almighty toward Earth. It was unsure if they survived, so Yurix would rise up and lead instead.
Now I'm on the bridge. They've destroyed the ship's navigation system. We're a dead stick.
if this makes any sense.
No nav, no engine, no way to steer or change course.
It's like they want this thing to drift off into space forever.
Not forever.
This leads to season of Chosen. Caitl made it to the system, but so did the Psion Conclave. Using stolen Vex technology from Venus, they were able to predict a future where the commander of the city could be killed, so this was their next plan. The Psion snuck into the city and stole some light-suppressing tech that was used back around the Red War, kind of like the Cage and the Traveler. Instead, they would make a weapon that can take down ghosts. In the palindrome lore, we see Yurix test this device that cuts off a Guardian's light, and they kill both the Guardian and the ghost in the European Dead Zone. Yurix waited. She watched her prey cut slaughter through the EDZ. She watched every weapon and muscle break against their light. She watched her prey's little ghost snicker with glee at the death of dozens, bleak humor to the undying. They had exercised the same nonchalance as the Almighty bore down to exterminate their parasitic city. Guardians huddled in droves, their eyes trained skyward to watch the destruction of Amtech's vengeance, as if it were some celebratory spectacle. Yurix and her conclave would not let that revenge be swept aside so easily. They remembered Amtech's words. They remembered the brief hope the sundial had showed them, and they remembered the name trailed in curses and woe. Although she and her sisters could not hope to destroy a city, they could kill the man who commanded it. Yurix fired and the Guardian dropped. Well placed, the words rippled through her mind as another Psion stepped from concealment behind Yurix. The Psion handed Yurix a new firearm, different from her long-bore headhunter. It was lined in silver-colored magnetic rails that hissed with arc charge. The carrion light will reveal itself in time. We will wait, Yurix rippled back. In time, a small ghost compiled into existence. Yurix waited as the ghost circled its guardian. She waited for the light to build within it. She waited until her target was sure that its actions could lead to nothing but resurrection. And then she fired. The stunned ghost fell. Joy filled her mind. It is effective, she thought. Gaul was no fool, her subordinate rippled in response. Yurix snorted at the name. This is not his credit. Gaul did not invent this technology, but we will learn from his failure. Dispose of them. Use its primitive gun. We cannot leave any trace that may lead them back to us. It is done, her subordinate thought, acting on Yurix's orders. We are Amtech's vengeance. Yurix finished her sister's sentiment. And while she struck from the sun, we strike from the shadow. This led to their big mission during that season, trying to take out Commander Zavala. One Psion failed as seen in the cutscene at the tower, and two more in the end were close, disabling Zavala's ghost, but Crow stepped in the way. Caitl assured us that these traitors weren't a part of her ranks, and that is true. They were of the Psion Conclave.
I didn't order this. Bring me the one who pulled the trigger. They'll know who did. Warriors of the Empire. Today we chose strength and honor over personal glory. But two of our soldiers chose to pursue their own victory, their own glory, before the glory of the Empire. Only one of these soldiers stands before me now. The Scion Valir faced his death with honor, but his accomplice, the Scion Caitl, chose to run, to hide. Caitl is a stain on our history, a traitor. I revoke the name Caitl. For a coward has no name under the Empire. These traitors did not work alone. I will find the others, and they will meet this same fate. We are one cabal, and we strike as one fist.
Vox Obscura was a mission to recruit other Red Legion and Psions to the dark side under Emperor Caitl and the Conclave. This message and mission was orchestrated by 2’s.
Guardian, 2’s continues to broadcast psychic messages across the system. Unrest among my Psions is high, and defections are increasing.
We've knocked this operation down several times, but Caitl seems willing to rebuild.
If his cloning enterprise is operational again, the loss of life will be no deterrent until that life is his own.
This leads us to Echoes. The Cabal have been searching for the power of the Echo, possibly information about the Oxa machine as well. Any way to gain an edge, any way to acquire power for themselves.
The Shadow Legion are an unnecessary complication. Cabal Psions have always had a keen interest in Vex technology, and the Echo is a strong incentive.
We crushed them on Neptune. We crushed them here.
Whatever it takes to keep the Echo out of their hands.
So that was in episode Echoes. 2’s and these Psions wanted the power of an Echo, but were unable to get it, and instead Maya Sundaresh, the conductor, found it. But they are still out there, and these Cabal seem to be rallying under them, even dread enemies as seen in Encore. They share 2’s name. There has been leaked images of strange Psion models from I believe since Lightfall that were never used. People thought, hey, maybe they'll be used in a season, but we never saw that specific enemy. Might never be used, but with Renegades heavily involving the Cabal, it could if the Psions and 2’s are on top. A Psion like 2’s leading a new faction of Cabal who we know are somehow connected to the Nine. We know how Psions have these telekinetic capabilities, want to peer into futures and minds. Could this be one of their goals with the Nine? Here is a clip from that treacherous contacts lore card again. It even mentions Psions studying strange elements. I think the Renegade Cabal are making headway. Our undercovers on Mars report their lieutenants out trading for samples of periodic elements, most of them benign. Tungsten, iodine, ytterbium, neodymium, the list goes on. And not in quantities useful for manufacturing either. Something's up. I put out feelers with the fallen mob in 2’s. Rumor is the Cabal have their Psion engineers building a cipher device using periodic elements as its key. Not the words for the elements, but the elements themselves. They have to be getting outside help, and I mean way outside. The Hidden Listening post on Mars reports a spike in local comms traffic. Whatever the Cabal were hoping to gain from Xur's flight records and their elemental cipher, it seems to have worked. We still don't know who's backing the Martian faction, but they've got big plans. Our agents have been making indirect inquiries to the other gangs in 2’s. Word is the Cabal are looking for the Drifter, and more specifically, the Derelict. I get the feeling Drifter stepped in something rancid, and he's about to track it all over our carpet. Where is that scumbag? But anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. A recap of some of the Psion Conclave story and how it could be connected to Renegades. If you'd like to see some more Destiny news, lore, and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.